Hello and welcome to Uncommonly Good MTG. I am your host, Dr. Yukon SuckIt. That's right, Yukon SuckIt. And I am coming to you from my secret underground headquarters, and I am bringing to you a deck of my own creation, which is currently called Spread the Wealth. So let me tell you about the reason behind Spread the Wealth here. I received a comment from friend of the channel, David Tatum. Hello, Doctor. I watched your Mono Green Elves deck, and after looking at a cool concept, could you please make a deck focused on the cards that boost other creatures, as in the backside of Dormant Grove and the backside of Ulvenwald Behemoth? Also, okay, and then he talked about some good stuff he had done with a Sultai Reanimator deck that we put together earlier on. And so I said, yeah, let me see what I can do. And I can tell you, I've been messing with this for probably about, 6 or 7 hours over the last few days. And this is the best I can come up with in this amount of time. And so we're going to try this one out. This one's had some success, and I think it's actually halfway decent. So let's talk about what this is about. So ultimately, the goal was to take a look at guys that have, like, other creatures you control have vigilance, and other creatures you control get +1/+1 and trample and haste. So I immediately started thinking about one of my favorite cards, which is Avabruck Caretaker, which when she wolfs out, its other permanents you control have hexproof. That is so wonderful. Plus, at the beginning of combat on your turn, you put 2 +1/+ counters on each creature you control. So there's another one, right? When I went and did some searching around, I also came up with Saryth the Viper's Fang. As other tapped creatures you control have Death Touch, meaning like when they're attacking, and other untapped creatures you control have hexproof. And you can untap another target creature or land you can control. So that means that, if you're attacking with somebody and someone tries to do something tricksy at that point, you can always untap it real quick, giving it hexproof and then Death Touch, essentially. Well, I guess it would become untapped and would no longer have Death Touch. But still, that's what you can kind of do with it. So I thought, okay, great. So we're starting to get the basis of some stuff there. But the problem is, I'm looking at it. It's like 4, 4, 4, 6. I'm just like, okay, if I want to get this stuff going fast, I need to get some mana producers in here. So I went back to some old faithfuls in the red category. We got the Goldhound, Magda, the Brazen Outlaw. We got the Fable of the Mirror Breaker. We got Gala Greeters in the green. And then, of course, Celestus, right? That's 3 right there. So all of those are to provide mana early, mostly in the forms of treasure tokens. And the good thing about the Celestus is this also doubles duty as a tool by which to control your werewolves being wolfed out. So if we get out the Caretaker and the Celestus, we can usually keep her in wolf mode the vast majority of the time, which is going to be super de-duper. But we're definitely talking about this in a weird form. So anyways, beyond that, then I started being like, okay, what else do we need? I'm like, we need some control. We need some way of controlling what's going on. So that's why we have Tamiyo Safekeeping, which protects our dudes, giving them hexproof and indestructible. It's only 1 at a time, but it's Tamiyo Safekeeping. It only costs 1 green. So as long as they are trying to target any one creature, you will have the ability to keep something safe, provided you have 1 green mana. Also, we've got Master's Rebuke. So, we're going to have some big creatures. I mean, from my perspective, we'll have 4s, possibly 8s. But a bunch of 4s is pretty easy to understand. We're going to have a bunch of pumping going on. So this is going to allow us for 2 mana to be able to deal a creature's power's worth of damage to a target creature or planeswalker we do not control. And there's 4 of those in there. And what else did we have control-wise? We've got Burn Down the House. That was my last addition to this deck. Yeah, at one point I was playtesting, and everybody kept putting stuff out. I couldn't kill things quick enough with Master's Rebuke. And I was like, I need to wipe the board. And the problem, and lastly, the deal was what if I don't need to wipe the board? Well, then I need to be able to put out 3/1/1 red devil tokens. That's what I need to do. So yeah, I really like Burn Down the House. It's in the expensive category, going up there to 5. But I think it provides the last thing this deck really needed, which is board wipe. Board wipe big time. So the last card that's in here that we haven't talked about yet is Ranger's Class. And I've bounced back and forth on a couple of different cards. I went from Ranger Class to something else and then back to Ranger's Class. I know it was some enchantment guy because the enchantment guy was green. He was the snake guy. And it says all other creatures get +1 plus, I think, or maybe it's +1/+1. And I thought, well, that's even better than this because that's giving all of your creatures +1/+1. But in the time I played with him, the problem is that your opponent just killed it because you know what? Creatures can be killed. And enchantments can be killed too, but they're a lot harder to kill than creatures. And so when I play with the Ranger class, it tends to stick around more. So what's nice about Ranger class is it comes out with a 2/2, and then you can start growing dudes. And so the other one didn't really grow guys. It just kind of kept everybody sort of elevated. So if I was going to have a bunch of guys out, the enchantment guy would be pretty good. But this one really focuses on the solo creature a lot more. So anyways, that's why Ranger class is back in here. It just did a better job with what we got going on. And the only problem is it kind of takes away from the theme that this deck is trying to do, which is to give abilities to all of your other creatures. So yeah, so the big problem here is at the beginning of the game, it's mostly just about getting out mana. And then we can start putting out creatures that are going to start being troublesome. But at the beginning, it's not very themey to what we got going on later on. But that's what we got to do. We got to make a decision somewhere. In the land category, we got 10 mountains, 10 forests, and 4 semi-fast dual lands. Nothing in the sideboard. So let's take this one out on the track. We'll spin it around a couple times and see how well it does. All right, we're playing against PiveTT. 4 mana. Let's keep it. I am safe. I shall keep things safe. Let's go and greet the Gala. Looking forward to getting the Viper Fang out. X-Proof and Death Touch. No blocks. Let's see if we can't pump some dudes up here. Pump. I'll go for treasure and pump. See if he's willing to sacrifice his initiate for that. Apparently not. All right, let's take him in. past the blockers. You gonna pump it? Not at all. Okay. There's your own death touch. Good for you. We're gonna go after. I know who it is. There it is. Suck it, suckerfish. That's it. Keep touching your card. Another death touch. Guess what I got another of? Victory! That's what I got another. Alright, playing against FuFu. Got a good amount of mana. Let's keep it. Go ahead and get ourselves a wolf. Think he's going to do the same. What's this thing even do? It's a mana snake. There's his. Smoke, man. He's putting out a lot of dudes. Alright, let's be a jerk. Bring it up to 4. Let's see if we can keep one of those green manas available for us. Alright, so next turn we shall have Trample. You coming at me, brah? You're playing your own Dormant Grove. Good for you. Another monk. Jesus. I think that might have been a huge mistake. We'll find out here. Oh, okay. Let's see. What is this here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, we could just do this. Devils. All attack. Here we go. I don't know. That guy seems fine. And we win. Victory. And we're playing against Torropuschel. Hope I pronounced that right. We've got 2 mana, a mana dog. Another mana maker. Let's keep it. And another mana maker. We got to follow that ramp as quickly as possible. Death. Just got to push through these guys. Go ahead, block. I dare you. All right, so we'll have 4 and a 5th. This guy attacks, makes the 6th. Who am I going to give up on here? All right. Well, I guess that's my future right there. I was forced to make a decision. You got nothing left. Let's see. Master's Rebuke. Because he can actually even play anything. Let's submit it. There we go. I'm going to... God, if I just do this right now, I can play the Oddity. Oh man, I'm just taking my spite. I'm trying to say I'm taking off my nose there. All right, let's see what happens. He's got that black. Looks like he likes to kill creatures. Like that one. Avabruck Caretaker could have survived that. Go get him, mana boy! Sorry, I don't know how night and day works. There's some kitty cats. All right, so we're doing good. Who are we going to pop here? Make another copy of the Caretaker. I'm going to put a counter. And then you shall make him bigger. And you shall make him bigger. Go. All right, so what? You're going to use your Lair of the Hydra to make something big enough for your Chariot to pop? Good game! Victory! All right, so here we are looking at Spread the Wealth, which is the deck that I put together. And it was all right. It did all right. It won more than it lost. Let's put it that way. So what can I say about it? It was an interesting deck, and it had a lot of tricks going on. I mean, here's my deal, is that the point of the deck was to try to put out creatures that would help all the rest of the creatures. Kind of like a sliver deck would, right? You know, it's like every sliver helps out every other sliver. And so, like, the Caretaker was supposed to wolf out and give all of its other permanents hexproof, and the Oddity was supposed to wolf out and give all of its other creatures +1/+1 trample and haste. And the Dormant Grove was supposed to wolf out and give everybody else vigilance. And the Saryth of the Vapors of Fang was supposed to give everybody death touch and hexproof again. You know, all of that's supposed to happen, yet it was difficult to build to have that happen. I think we're fairly lucky if we can get one of those effects to occur in any given game. Now, the approach I took to try to get there was to try to get out, to try to build treasures to get our mana base out as quickly as possible. And I think that worked. The only problem is that ended up being our game more times than not. All these other things that helped everybody out came a little bit too late and were too expensive to be able to make use of. So, yeah, it was difficult. So, that's what I want to say is I think the deck performed very well. It just didn't perform the way that I wanted it to. So, I don't know. And that's the thing with Magic cards. You know, things get shuffled up, and you do the best with what you got. So let's talk about who was the real hero here. Let me take a look. Who was the hero? You know, I gotta say, the two cards that I actually looked the most forward to was Ranger Class and Goldhound. And this is the reason why. In the case of Goldhound, it was because I knew I had another mana I can play. It's like I had a creature that could harass my opponent early, and then when I needed it, I had that other mana. So I liked him quite a bit. I was always looking forward to the Goldhound. Number 2, Ranger Class. What was good about that? The fact that I put it out, I got a wolf token. And then from there, immediately I could, pump it up so that I could make that wolf into a 3. And then that was, that's that share the wealth kind of philosophy. It didn't do it to all the creatures, but at least every creature that attacked on every turn managed to get that +1 counter. And then lastly, it's third level ability. It's okay, which is being able to play creature spells from the top of your library. Yeah, at least you can kind of see what's coming up. It helped you to determine your own personal future. It was like a scry, except for you couldn't get rid of the card that you didn't particularly care for, right? Ulvenwald Oddity is always great, other than the fact that he is such a target. It's like you just got to hope your opponent has got no answer. But there are so many answers for big green monsters. You can bounce them. You can exile them. You can tap them forever. You can destroy them. There's just so many things you can do. Avabruck Caretaker is fantastic because she is hexproof. The only problem is that she can still be killed in the traditional sense, which is like anything touching her. And so, therefore, I spent a lot of my time not pumping her up. Or not using her, because she couldn't, if she went into the attack, she'd be slaughtered. So she just stood on the background pumping up the other creatures. And that was good. She did her part. I kind of wanted her to wolf out because I needed to give everybody else hexproof and start putting tons of counters on other people. It's just that I really kind of wanted the Celestus to do that, and I never managed to get the Celestus and the Caretaker at the same time. Let's see, the Fable of the Mirror Breaker was good. Because once again, it's about hasting things up, about getting your mana flow going, because that Goblin Shaman pretty much guarantees that you can attack with it, so you're guaranteed to get at least one token out of it. And then you got a little bit of the card switcheroo on the second turn, and then the Kiki Jiki itself still slow because it comes out without haste, but it is capable then of copying a non-legendary creature that you have, which is everything except for the Viper's Fang right there. Dormant Grove. We got it to work once. Once. It gives everything vigilant. I would have loved it if it would have given everything trample. That would have been kick-ass, especially since I had to have a creature that has a toughness of 6 or greater. And it's like, yeah, sure, it's got it's vigilance, but I really like it to have trample at that point. One thing I liked about Master's Rebuke was the fact that I was able to go after Death Touch dudes without worry, because I'm not fighting. My creature just deals damage equal to its power to a target creature or planeswalker I don't control. So it's slightly more expensive, but it is way safer for your dudes than the other ones. I mean, Blizzard Brawl is good just because your guy has Indestructible, but if you're not playing with Blizzard Brawl Indestructible, then Master's Rebuke is definitely the way to go. So let's go ahead and rate this deck. Altogether, I would say, is it competitive? And I'm going to say it's not. You're not going to climb the ladder with this thing. It's a deck that's not. You're not going to lose all the time. You're going to get more hit wins in than your victories. But I'm just not sure you're going to think of this as being a super winner or anything like that. Secondly, is it fun? It's hard to say. To me, I was having not as much fun, probably because I really wanted to have like I wanted to have Ulvenwald go into his behemoth mode and have a bunch of other dudes out so they'd all be super pumped. Or I wanted to have this one wolf out and start pumping out +2 counters to each creature. That's what I was looking for fun-wise. Maybe even then having the Viper's Fang out to do things like that. I thought that was going to be fantastic. And that never really happened. And so I think the reason why I didn't have as much fun as I thought I would is just because it wasn't matching my expectations. But the thing is the deck did good, and it was crazy. The interesting things about this deck was that, you'd get out like a wolf or maybe the Gala Greeters, and you just start pumping them. Pumping them up. These guys would pump themselves up. The Ranger class would start pumping things out. The Dormant Grove would pump things up. You have these little 1/1s that were just getting so big. It was nuts. But the problem was they didn't have trample. So they were able to survive, but they just weren't able to go and land their punches. It just depends who you're fighting against, right? And lastly, did this deck have a theme? No, there's no theme here. I mean, we got a beast, we got some wolves, dwarves, goblins. It's just a whole mix of stuff. Werewolves, human warlocks, apparently. And devils. Don't forget the devils. So I'm going to have to rate this deck. Let's see. So it's not competitive. It is midland fun, and there's no theme. It's going to get a B in my book right now. It's a B deck. In reality, I think this deck has potential. And the question is that how are you going to make it better? So that's your homework. Take this deck, mess around with it, find ways of making it even better than it is, and then come back and repost it to the discussion below. I'd really appreciate that. So when you do that, I hope that you have more fun than I did. That's all for now. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like and subscribe. From all of us here in the underground secret headquarters of Uncommonly Good MTG, have a great day. In the words of my people, be excellent to each other, and party on, dudes.